Rewind to 2 seasons ago when Solar 3.0 came out with Season of the Haunted. I know I was very excited for a few varieties of guns, considering some of them were my favorite solar weapons. Sunshot was on a lot of people's minds. Jotun was a little bit of a hype because when it got its catalyst, it earned Incandescent, which was a brand new perk for the time, and people found it very handy for the solar subclasses in what could essentially become an immortal titan. There was one gun that I had some excitement for, and that is what I have in my hand as well, Polaris Lance. If you don't know what this gun is, it came to us during Season 3 of Destiny 2, essentially a high-impact frame scout rifle with intrinsically Zen Moment on it, so it's very stable once you get the shots in, and it makes it so that precision hits return ammo to the magazine, basically 1-to-1. If you hit a precision shot, it's 1 round back, essentially meaning if you're accurate enough, you could shoot for days. Now, it also made it so that landing 4 precision shots hit a delayed solar explosive shot for the 5th shot. Basically making it so if you shoot something in the head 4 times, you'll load an extra firebomb shot that on the 5th round will, set things on fire, because, it's a firebomb. I know I was super excited, especially after learning what Scorch and Incandescent was, because I thought, hey, they must have fixed it. They must work together. Turns out, they didn't. Turns out, Polaris Lance Fire was just Polaris Lance Fire. Now, why is that important? Well, as many of you might know if you've been keeping up with the weapon updates, they've been changing a lot of things come Lightfall in the form of weapons and exotic 3.0 verbs. So, a few examples being 1000 Voices now having access to Scorch. Every one of its rounds, explosives will apply some Scorch to a target. Leviathan's Breath, it will actually proc Volatile on hits. And one that I'm super excited for is Polaris Lance, because now it made it so the perfect fifth firebomb shot can now scorch things on hit, making it 40 stacks of scorch, which essentially means 3 firebombs can cause ignition, and also with the enhanced scorch applied, fragment, it also makes it so it applies 60 scorch to a target, making it so that 2 firebombs, 10 rounds, could ignite a target. And when you're actually trained in on something, a champion, a boss, something high health, it's super easy to just start dumping rounds and actually get multiple firebomb shots on a target. Now, why is that also important? Well, if you actually recall, they're adding a lot more subclass 3.0 abilities so that there's a lot of variety in anti-champion that's just naturally intrinsic to your subclass. What do I mean by that? Well, Volatile is going to be anti-barrier. Jolt is going to be overload. Ignitions are going to be anti-unstoppable. Why does this actually make it meta? Well, if you have a gun that can cause ignitions just by shooting something, not killing anything, just by shooting something, and in 2 perfect fifth shots, which means 10 rounds, you just have to hit something 10 times and it'll ignite, which means it'll stun. That is kind of insane. Like, I know a lot of people are coming up with these combinations, like, Lemon Arc is already intrinsically overload. If you put volatile rounds on it, you'll make it anti-barrier as well, and a bunch of other those things. But this is actually super important. Why do I say that? Because scouts are actually super handy for anti-champion. As you might know, with this season, we do have Overload Auto, which is one of the few ones that actually gets a damage buff, as you read at the bottom. Any member of your fire team disrupts a champion, your scout rifle gains a temporary damage bonus against champions, including all champions. That is actually the only one in the artifact that actually does that currently. None of the other anti-champions actually do that, aside from Overload Scout, which is why it's actually better than Overload Rounds, in my opinion. Plus, it's easier to use. But combined with a, let's say, anti-barrier scout rifle, because I believe it actually can have access to all 3. I think I've seen Unstoppable Scout Rifle. If we have anti-barrier scout or overload scout like this season, and intrinsically are able to stun unstoppable champions just by landing enough rounds on it, this might actually be one of the most OP guns that just exists around. Because not only, like I said, it's infinite ammo in the mag and infinite ammo because every primary is infinite ammo, plus it's unstoppable stun intrinsically, plus whatever the current, artifact has for scout rifles if it's got it. And regardless, it's still going to be anti-champion in the very bottom. Plus, this thing is just good. Now, I forgot to mention also, the catalyst does give it Dragonfly, which you might not have known. So this thing will be making explosions and firebombs and setting things on fire all over the place come Lightfall. So this will be a ringer for the solar subclass. I think Might of Multi-Tool, I know everyone's a fan of it because of Unrelenting Incandescent or whatever else you can get on it. But personally, I'm going to take Polaris Lance over Might of Multi-Tool any day. Oh, that's the wrong one. Might of Mini-Tool. But with that, my name is Matt Scorpion. I'll see you in the next video.